everybody. Welcome to this project, UKompass, a very interesting, very complex and focused for providing you the tools, information, everything that you may need for your professional career. As a grand opening and maybe a personal touch, I decided to start with the Embassy of Mexico in Czech Republic. So I hope you enjoy the words that the ambassador would share with us. If you have any questions, any suggestions, please feel free to send them to us, and remember that this is a tool for you. So if you have any idea, please let us know. And thank you. Enjoy the conversation. Hello everybody. Thank you to be here today. My name is Carlos Imanol. I'm a PPE student from Mexico, and today, as a grand opening, we have the honor and privilege to share with the Ambassador of Mexico in Czech Republic, Berenice Díaz-Ceballos. She is a very distinguished diplomat, and we will be happy to share with her some key points for you to clarify certain doubts that you may have about the real life, and we want this to be more easy to digest. So hello, thank you very much for accepting.
No, thank you, Carlos, for coming to the embassy. You know that the embassy is your house, and we are happy to have you and your colleagues from the university here in the Mexican embassy.
Thank you. We have 5 questions and one last question to conclude. So if you will be happy, we can start with the first question.
Yes, of course.
Amazing. I have here, could you briefly introduce the mission of your embassy here in the Czech Republic and the key roles it plays in representing your country?
Well, as you know, I'm accredited on behalf of the government of Mexico based on the Vienna Convention of 1961. That is the framework in which all diplomats, we conduct ourselves. Some of the basic things that, I presented my credentials to President Pavel when I arrived. It was 15 days after I arrived. And this means that I have a political representation from the government of Mexico. Another very important function that I have is the promotion of Mexico. Mexico is a wonderful country. Mexico has it all. We have history, we have culture, we have tourism, we are a mega diverse country. So there's a lot to promote from Mexico, but we focus a lot also in the question of trade, investment, innovation, and technical cooperation with the Czech Republic. Another important part of my work is to provide services to all Mexicans that live here in the Czech Republic. Right now we have more or less 1,500 people, Mexicans that live here with permanent residency, so we provide them services, different kinds of services. I have powers of attorney, so I can provide them documents. I also have a civil registry. For example, if 2 Mexicans want to get married, I can marry them. Or birth certificates, passports, visas. We provide more than 23 services to Mexicans living here. And another part that is very, very important for us is we protect Mexicans in case they face an accident or any kind of setback.
Very interesting. And for some of us that come from Mexico and we want to know why do we have an embassy here? How would you describe the historical and current relationship between Mexico and Czech Republic?
Well, this year we celebrate 103 years of diplomatic relations. No? First it started obviously when it was Czechoslovakia. But Mexico and the Czech Republic have always been in contact, and we have supported each other in the multilateral fora. Where in the different moments of history of Czechia, when it has been invaded either by the Nazis or the communism, we took the issue to first the Society of Nations, then the United Nations, because we didn't accept that it was taken by force. No, that's why if you go to Prague 6, there is a very important park that it's called Lázaro Cárdenas. No, this is a kind of recognition, and if you go to Mexico City, one of the most important streets that we have, it's called Presidente Masaryk. No, and we have exchanges, we have learned from each other, we have supported, and we support our priorities mutually in different fora, not only bilaterally, multilateral, but also at the regional level.
That's very interesting as well. And I would say even nowadays the world is becoming very interconnected. Everybody has a repercussion in another side of the world. And according to that, why do you believe diplomatic engagement is essential for both national stability and future global welfare?
Well, before going to that question, one thing that I would like to add is that Mexico is the first trading partner from Czechia in Latin America. 50% of the trade that Czechia has with Latin America is with Mexico, and we have a lot of opportunities there. That's an area that I am trying to expand, that we want to increase exchanges. I have focused a lot on the trade diversification efforts that Czechia has, so we're trying to have much more contacts in that area. Regarding your question, I think that nowadays it's very important for the world to have much more cooperation. This cooperation needs to be based on values, on principles, that we have them in the United Nations Charter. And it's very important. We are facing very difficult challenges. We are talking about war, we're talking about droughts, about climate change, about poverty, displacement, a lot of refugees, migration. So we need to cooperate among us. No, it's a problem. For example, if we talk about climate change, it cannot be solved only by one or two countries or a region. Sure. This is something that affects everybody. Also, like migration or organized transnational crime. So we really need to cooperate. Our societies are very interconnected. No, now we have the technology, we have internet. So all the world, or all the societies are interconnected, and we need to cooperate much more if we really want to make a change. The United Nations now has developed sustainable goals, that they are 17 goals. I think they encompass all the problems that the world is facing. And we, at the national level, we can do a lot of things, but we need to cooperate with our regions and with other partners. In the case of Mexico, we have an agreement with the EU, no, that it was first adopted in 2000. Now it has been renewed. We are waiting it to be ratified by all the parliaments of the EU countries, but that gives us a new framework for collaboration at the political, the economic, and cooperation. And obviously, Czechia, being member of the EU, is part of this effort, that we want to take our strategic relationship to a different level.
You mentioned values. And you mentioned human rights, and I find that very important, more as students, because I would say that further away from learning just theories, I think it's important that the area of human rights, the value that the society has, and especially you that have had like a very important path on human rights. What advice would you give to students, especially from PPE, Politics, Philosophy and Economics, who are interested or curious about working in this field of international relations and diplomacy?
Well, now that you talk about human rights, I'm passionate about human rights. My thesis was made on human rights specifically, and something that I think that is very important is the codification of international law. In my personal experience, I had the great opportunity to present a Mexican initiative that is the Convention for Persons with Disabilities of the United Nations. It was adopted in 2001, and I can tell you that it's one of the 6 human rights treaties of the UN that is almost universal. That means that many countries, almost all countries with the exception of 3 or 4, have ratified this important instrument. If we talk about human rights is very broad. No? Here we're talking about the convention for a specific group. There's also another convention for women, a convention for children, a declaration for indigenous people. But it's important to understand that human rights is the political, the civil, the economic, the social, and the cultural rights. And we need to create the circumstances and the possibilities for all humans to be treated equally. Now we talk about equality, about inclusiveness, but there's a lot of things to be done because some rights can be immediately recognized and put into force, but for other rights you need financing. For example, if we talk about persons with disability, if they cannot walk, you need a ramp. So you need to adequate the places for them to be able to exercise their rights. No? And that implies for all different groups and minorities that need to be protected. For example, if we talk about migrants, they also have rights. And historically, a lot of minorities have in many moments of history, have been discriminated. So we need to recognize that there is discrimination, and we need to do additional efforts in order that all people can enjoy their human rights.
Talking about, again, your career, for example, you were part of the G20 summit in Los Cabos. You promote the UN Convention, as you said, of human rights of persons with disabilities. My point is, this might talk a little bit of how Mexican diplomacy has been engaging with these topics. Is there a unique aspect of Mexico approach to diplomacy that you could consider that the international society must learn or take as a possible example? You know, everybody, we all as a world society might enrich each other with different perspectives.
Well, diplomacy is very broad, no? But I insist in something that I consider very important is the codification of rule of law. Mexico has played a very important role in the question of disarmament, for example. No, it was a Mexican proposal, the Treaty of Tlatelolco, that was adopted by other regions. That means that we are a region, Latin America, free of nuclear arms. Now we are facing war. We know, obviously, if there are several countries, the permanent members of the Security Council and 2 or 3 other countries that have nuclear armament, and we know there could be a mutual assured destruction if they are used. So that's why Mexico keeps on promoting, and when I say the codification, is a way to create the rule of law. If everybody is committed with the rule of law and respects what the treaties contain, I think that's a great advancement, because now what we see is that countries are not abiding by the rules, are playing on their own, and are creating a lot of problems for many countries. We have the war in Ukraine, that's something that affects the security of the EU. So all countries, in my personal point of view, we need to abide by the rules.
Very, very important, I think it is. And as a closing question, and even though it might sound, as we were saying, a little bit very broad, but maybe more personal in this case for you, if you could, in a way, sum up the spirit of your embassy's mission in one sentence, even though it's very complicated, I know, what would it be?
I think it would be, I think it could be commitment and shared values. No, we have with Czechia shared values. We are vibrant societies. We want to improve our conditions. We want to have to be important players at the international level. So I think it would be commitment and shared values. It's not only me, but the people that work here in the embassy are also very committed with the interest of Mexico, with a good representation of our country and the promotion that we do. Also, I think it would be commitment.
That's very, very important, and thank you for your words. It really enriches us as a society of students. I hope that this might turn on something in our minds for the importance of values, the importance of caring for one another. And thank you very much for the time. We really
Thank you for the visit, and I really invite all of you to become diplomats. We need more diplomats. There are a lot of areas to cover, international cooperation, rule of law, the consular affairs, the bilateral affairs, multilateral affairs. So there's a lot of possibilities in this career. And I really invite you to consider becoming a diplomat. It's really an honor and a privilege to represent your country abroad.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon.